What's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Keys to Dream podcast. I'm super excited to talk to you guys this week. If you're watching a YouTube video, you probably already noticed that my partner in crime, Jara, the author of the book, is actually not on the podcast today. She actually came down with the flu this last week. So that is a testament to telling everybody, you guys stay safe out there. You guys be careful. There's only so much you can do, but do your best to stay as healthy as you can for as long as you can, and just hope for the best, I guess. She's been down for like a week, so she will be back next week, and fortunately, let's hope you guys are stuck with me for this week. So this podcast, I want to take in a little different direction. Because it is just me, I wanted to take it more in the art direction side of it, and just talk about what is an artist, right? I think that that's a huge question that we all ask ourselves as we are figuring this thing out and drawing. And I know for me, like, it took me a very long time to actually, call myself an artist. I was very hesitant to use the word because I thought it meant so much, right? I thought you had to have years experience. I thought you had to have done a certain amount of things to say, oh, I'm an artist. But in actuality, I feel like an artist is a feeling, and an artist is, just what you do and who you are. I think that we hang so much of our hat on titles, right? I'm an artist, I'm a musician, I'm a author, I'm a whatever. But at the end of the day, it only matters what you think of you. I always remember this quote from Sister Act 2 where Whoopi is telling Lauryn Hill, like, if you wake up every morning and you think about singing, you're a singer. And I think that that's the same thing with artistry, right? I think that if every day you wake up and you think about drawing, or you think about painting, or you think about designing, you're an artist. I do believe that there's levels to this, right? Like, there's different levels to artistry, and sometimes when you start, you're at the entry level, and then you graduate, and then you go higher and higher, and then you get to an expert level, and you get to where you can then teach others how to do what you've done to that point. So there are levels to it, but as far as like being an artist, I think that's a feeling. For me, I actually started drawing when I was like 9, 10, I think. I know we talked about it before, but eventually I want to like pull out some of my really like first drawings. And of course, it was just a bunch of boys that I was drawing. I was drawing Omarion, and I was drawing Marcus Houston and the other B2K, and like, it was that time period, y'all. Don't judge me. It was, I don't know, my focus at the time, I guess. And really, it was more gravitated towards portraits. So I was super into portraiture and figuring out, how do you draw somebody's face, right? Like, how do you translate what you're seeing to a piece of paper? And I think for me, that interests me so much in the beginning. So I didn't have to have any drive. It was just the drive to want to mimic someone's face on a piece of paper or on a canvas or on whatever. That was how I started. And then after that, I kind of, I used art as an outlet. I, as a kid, and, having, issues with my father, and, that being a very strained relationship, it put me into what I now realize is, a depression, and, and it gave me really anxiety. And for me, not knowing at the time, but I used art as therapy. I used art as a release, and I used it as an outlet. And I didn't realize that to, how old am I, like 30, like this year, that was what I was using it for, and how I was using it, and what it really meant to me. It gave me a place to feel safe, and a place to express myself. And I wish I would have had more people that look like me doing that, right? Like, I wish I could have said, there's so many artists, so many female Black artists that are doing what I want to do in a career. And I didn't. Like, I really went in blind, and I just realized that there's something to this art thing. There's something I wake up for every day for this art thing. And I had to then figure out, okay, how do I make this a career? How do I have a sustainable life, being an artist? And that was a very hard transition because, again, I didn't have any examples, which is my core reason for doing this and for doing, the children's books and for speaking more and like giving information, is because I didn't have it. And I wished I did. And I wished I think it would have, I think for me, luckily, I was in a space to where no matter if I saw somebody or not, it was real for me. And I knew that this is what I wanted to do. But I feel like there's so many kids out there that are right on the border of it being a reality and just a dream. And I think that sometimes when you see someone who looks like you doing that thing, it becomes more of a reality. And you feel like, oh, okay, it's tangible. For example, Barack being president. Like, I never thought I would see a Black president, and even more so from my grandfather. Like, I remember he like saved all these paper clippings and like magazines and like all these things because, his generation, they were like, never. We'll never see it happen. It'll never come. And it did. And at that point, now you have, a generation of my nieces who are like, oh yeah, I could be president. It feels more tangible. And I think that's what I wish I had growing up. Just it feeling tangible and it feeling like something I could accomplish, and even just information. I failed a lot, when I started out. I failed a lot getting into corporate America and not really knowing what that meant and what that was supposed to look like. What are you supposed to ask for as a salary? What are you, what's supposed to be required of you in your positions? Are they overutilizing and underpaying? Things I didn't know and things I didn't really have anybody to ask, to be honest. It was just a lot of trial and error and a lot of, if we keep it real, just a lot of getting played and getting used and abused, and then finally moving on to where I was supposed to be and where I'm appreciated, but trial and error, right? So, all that to say, like, this is why I'm doing this, because I hope it gives somebody information and I hope it inspires somebody to be an artist. But, to go back to my earlier point, like, art can be the thing that gets you through. Art can, in my heart of hearts, I feel like art can save lives, and I feel like art many times over saved my life. I feel like when I was at my lowest of lows, art was the thing that I relied on, and it was the thing that made me feel worthy. It was the thing that made me feel like, okay, that's something that I'm good at, like, this is, if nothing else worked, I can do this thing, and just, you get lost in the creation of art, I feel like, and for somebody who's running away from reality, being lost for a couple hours is invaluable. It's what you look forward to. It's what you dream about. It's what you wake up to. It's that thing that keeps you going. And I think as a kid, for me, where I was at emotionally, it was the thing that made me feel like I had some sort of peace, even though it was fleeting and even though it wasn't sustainable in that way. And I realize that now. I realize that it only works for a short period of time. You have to eventually stop and figure out what the root of the problem is, and you have to fix that in order to grow, and in order for it to not to always be an issue. And full transparency, like, my relationship with my father is still an issue, and it may always be an issue just because of how broken that relationship is. But at the end of the day, I know I've done the work for me, and I'm taking, which I hope, all of you do this, I'm taking the negativity and I'm turning it into positivity. I heard a really great quote that I always try to lean on is, delayed, not denied. And for me, and for you guys too, if you're an artist, I feel like artistry is a slow burn, right? Like, it's not like being a basketball player. It's not like being a football player. It's not like being a singer. Like, it's such a slow progression of, it's all right. Like, you can kind of draw to like, oh, you good. And it's like, oh, no, man, y'all see this drawing? Like, it's a slow burn. And what advice I would give to anybody who is looking to become an artist or an illustrator or designer is know that getting into it and be aware that it's a lifelong journey. It's not a, quick, okay, I'm gonna practice for a couple days and no, you are figuring it out forever. And if you really love it, that'll be okay. If you're young and you're listening, or even if you're older and you're thinking about having or being an artist as a career, you go into it fully knowing what to expect and fully knowing it doesn't end just because I got a degree. I got a degree and I got lucky, and I've utilized that degree and I've built a career on that degree, but the core of what art is, it's in you. It's not a degree. It's not a school that you go to. It's not getting famous as an artist. It's not selling the most expensive canvas. Like, I feel like the true artists do it because it burns a fire within them and it frees them from whatever they're running from. And I think because it freed me in a lot of senses growing up, I owe it. Like, I feel like I owe art my life, really. I owe art the courage it gave me to continue and the courage it gave me to realize it's a bad moment, not a bad life. And if you can get past the moment, you can get to the good life that you see for yourself. But I truly don't know if I would have had that without art. I truly don't know, because when you are younger, and I've been bugging Jara about doing a book about children and mental health, and because I don't feel like, particularly in the African American community, I don't feel like we talk about it enough, and I don't feel like it's a priority. I feel like you get to a point to where it's like, for us, is because of how hard we have to work to where we get to, it's okay, you can't cry over it. You can't linger. You gotta just suck it up and keep moving. And that got me really far career wise, but it also was damaging to my mental health. It was damaging to the person that I was becoming. And I didn't realize it to after the fact. I didn't realize it to, I was already damaged. And now, being 30, now you are trying to damage control, right? You're trying to take all those pieces and like glue them and like tape them and like get some resemblance of emotional maturity. And that takes time, so, I hope that if you're listening, I'll say this quote again. If you wake up in the morning and all you think of is art, you're an artist. Don't wait for anybody to tell you you're an artist. Don't wait for anybody to validate that you can draw. Don't allow anybody to tell you it's not a real career, or you can't make a living off of it, or you can't be successful at it, because you can. Because I did. I didn't come from, a lot of money, or I didn't come from really anybody who had been in this field and who could give me advice and who could tell me like, this is the path to take. I figured it out in some really dark nights by myself, and even moments where I was unclear on what I was supposed to do. I just buckled down and said, okay, this is what you wanted, so we're gonna figure it out and we're gonna keep rolling. We're gonna stay at a job longer than we should because we know that it's a stepping stone to where we want to be. We're gonna get dirty. and in that, I think now my art has changed so much because now it's not just for me. I feel like all of us as artists, we get together and we get in our corners and we draw for ourselves. And I think you'll know once it's groomed into a calling when you're no longer painting or drawing or designing for you. You're doing it for others. You're doing it to make other people smile, because at the end of the day, if you do the work on yourself, you're gonna have joy regardless. And at this point, for me, art is no longer about making me happy. I do enjoy it, but I've done it all. Like, I've done every type of art. I've worked. I've been a designer. I've done the big projects. I've done the small projects. I've done print. I've done digital. I've done it all. So at this point, there's nothing really new to conquer. It's really more so like, how do I use my art to speak to someone's spirit and speak to someone's heart and speak to someone's passion for wanting to do the same thing that I'm doing. And that's the goal now, right? Like that's the ultimate goal for me, is to create as many artists as possible, inspire as many people who wake up every day and draw to say, you know what, this is my career. No matter what nobody says, this is what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life. That's my goal. That's my passion, and I think that's my purpose, and I'm walking in that. I'm actively walking in that and living that. And I just hope that if you're an artist and you feel like you don't know where it's going or where you want it to go, that that you can't dictate the path. You can only dictate the purpose and dictate how you feel while you're getting there. And I believe that the end goal is not your own. I believe the end goal is, a higher purpose. And, you may not believe that, or you might, but I'm just trying to steward my gift as much as I can. And that's what this is. Just me trying to be a good steward of the gift that God gave me. Because listen, when I was young, I was drawing and had no idea what I was doing. So I've always had, a talent for it. I've always been good at it, but talent only gets you so far, right? Like at a certain point, your talent stops because everybody kind of levels out, and then you got to put the work in. You got to work. You got to work every day. It's not something that you can pick up here and not do there. Like, you got to work at it every single day. And then at some point, you won't have to do it every day. You'll still need to practice at it, but you've learned enough to be excellent at it. I hope that if you're going to get into this artistry and becoming an artist, you realize the goal isn't to be good. The goal is to be great. The goal is to be the best that you can be. Don't be me. Don't be anybody else. Be you, and be your very best, and push yourself to your very end. Push yourself as far as you can humanly go, and then say, all right, that's a job well done. I did my best, and I'm good with that. I'm good with however it pans out at that point. And be content with it. Be content with yourself as an artist, and be content with yourself as a person that expresses themselves with paint and with, color pencils and with paper and with the iPad or whatever. Be content in the fact that you set out to do something and you're doing it, and that's all that matters. Nothing else. Like I don't even know where I would be without art, to be honest with you. So I owe it something. I owe it my life, and I will spend the rest of my life converting as many people to artists as I can. That's the goal. That's the goal for me. So yeah, like, this podcast was just a check-in with all of my artists, kind of a temperature check, if you will, just to see where y'all are at and how y'all are feeling, and if there's anything I can help with, or I'm hoping and praying that this content that we're creating will inspire you all, whether it's to be an author and write a children's book, or to be an illustrator and illustrate a children's book. I just hope that it gives you something. I hope that you gain knowledge and you gain understanding of certain things, and hope we give you hope. That's something that is so hard to find right now, with all the things that are happening with the world. And myself and Jara are so adamant about that and so passionate about that, and it took a pandemic and it took everything kind of falling apart for everything to fall in place, right? It's crazy how that happens, right? Like, sometimes I think about it like I think about muscle building, right? Like, you gotta break what's there to rebuild it in the vision that you see it in. And that's how I've thought about this whole experience. That's how I've thought about COVID and, my struggles, throughout COVID for different reasons, mental health, physical health, all of it. I had to break who I was to build who I want to be. And I hope you all are doing the same. And I just appreciate y'all for following our journey and, checking in with us and listening and supporting, two, Black girls just trying to create books in the visions of themselves. So that, I have 2 nieces, so that my nieces see themselves in these books in a way that I never had the opportunity to. So again, we appreciate the support. We appreciate you for just listening. We appreciate you for liking an Instagram post, whatever. We appreciate it all. And I appreciate you listening to this podcast today. This has been a blessing to me, and I hope it's been a blessing to you. So, again, thank you again for listening. And as always, keep dreaming.